Deepika Jaswal on the show Sports Buzz, where I get you all the latest from the world of sports, only on www.clicksportsnow.com. Let's take a quick look at the headlines.
F1 gets ready for Bahrain's second pre-season test. Australia whips South Africa in the first test match. Indian Olympic Association back in International Olympic fold. Team India landed in Mumbai after a disappointing New Zealand tour. Chelsea back to the top of the Premier League.
With the 2014 Formula One season round the corner, the teams headed to Bahrain for the second pre-season testing session with an aim to adapt efficiently the new rules that will kick in this year.
Red Bull's 2014 troubles continued on the first day of the second pre-season test in Bahrain. The world champions, whose first test was disastrous, completed just 14 laps with Sebastian Vettel at the wheel. Red Bull were delayed by 5 hours because of problems building the car. When they did start running, it broke down with over 1 hour remaining. Force India's Nico Hülkenberg was fastest from Ferrari's Fernando Alonso and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton. McLaren's Kevin Magnussen was fourth quickest from Vettel, who was 3.3 seconds off the pace. It is not yet clear what caused the Red Bull to stop on track, but there was a burning smell coming from the car when it was returned to the pits on the back of a lorry. Red Bull have brought 2 different bodywork packages to Bahrain in an attempt to find a solution to the chronic overheating that, along with severe problems with the Renault power unit, caused their troubles at the first test. They and the other Renault teams continue to struggle with power unit related problems. Renault arrived in Bahrain admitting it had not completely solved the problems that had made the first test a waste of time for all their teams. The Red Bull, Caterham and Lotus car were able to do more laps than Renault managed at the first test, but they are still being afflicted by some problems. Lotus completed only 7 laps on their car's first public test today, and Toro Rosso just 5. Of the Renault power teams, only Caterham managed decent mileage, with reserve driver Robin Prince doing 58 laps. The German's lap set on the fastest soft tyres, which no other driver used, was 2.4 seconds off the quickest lap in the first practice session at last year's Bahrain Grand Prix, and just under 0.1 seconds faster than the fastest lap set by Vettel on his way to winning that race. F1 has adopted 1.6-litre V6 hybrid turbo engines and a fuel restriction, as well as significant changes to the aerodynamic rules. Engineers predict the cars will be in the region of 2 seconds slower than last year by the time of the first race in Melbourne on 16th March, and will continue to evolve rapidly through the season. At least half a second of that deficit is caused by tyre supplier Pirelli using harder rubber compounds to cope with the greater demands of the new engines.
Australia inflicted both psychological as well as physical damage onto South Africa, the number 1 team in Test cricket, whipping them by 281 runs in the first test played at Centurion.
Mitchell Johnson took match figures of 12 for 127 as Australia completed a 281-run victory over South Africa in the first test in Centurion. The left-arm paceman followed up his first innings effort of 7 for 68 with a second innings haul of 5 for 59 as the hosts were bowled out for 200 on day 4. Australia declared on 290 for 4 in the early stages of the morning session, and the Proteas, tormented by Johnson again, were predictably some way off the huge target of 482. AB de Villiers was once again the host top scorer as he made a battling 48, while Johnson became the first Australian seamer since 1991 to take 12 wickets in a test match. South Africa, who have never beaten Australia in a test series at home since being readmitted to international cricket, now need to win the second test in Port Elizabeth to keep their hopes of ending that run alive. At the start of the day, Australia added just 2 runs to their overnight total before declaring after Dale Steyn had Shaun Marsh caught behind for 44. That left the Proteas facing a world record run chase, and their hopes of pulling off a miracle victory took a hit before the end of Johnson's first over when he had Alvaro Peterson caught behind for 1. Australia were in total control when Faf du Plessis was trapped on his pads in front of the stumps by a Peter Siddle delivery which kept low, while Hashim Amla made 35 before falling to Ryan Harris. De Villiers, who made 91 in the first innings, was once again the main source of resistance, but this time fell 2 runs short of a half-century as Johnson completed his second 5-wicket haul of the match. Vernon Philander and Robin Peterson managed to delay the inevitable, but South Africa were ultimately cleaned up inside 60 overs. South Africa now need to win the remaining 2 test matches to win the series, while Australia need only to draw the series to leapfrog India to the second spot in the ICC Test rankings.
After a year-long wait, India was inducted back to the Olympics fold after the clean conducting of the elections by the office bearers of the Indian Olympic Association. This allowed the Indian flag to be hoisted at the Winter Olympic Games in Russia.
India has been reinstated to the Olympics in time for the flag to fly at Sochi Winter Games. The International Olympic Committee announced the decision on Tuesday, saying it was the first time in history that the suspension of a National Olympic Committee had been lifted during the Games. 3 Indian athletes marched into the opening ceremony last Friday under the Olympic flag and were allowed to compete as independent athletes. But after a special flag-raising ceremony in the Olympic Village on Tuesday, day 5 of the Sochi Games, they can compete for India. The Indian Olympic Association ended the standoff with the IOC by holding elections on Sunday and installing world squash chief Narayana Ramchandran as president. India had been suspended by the IOC in December 2012 for not holding elections according to its own constitution and for electing tainted officials, notably President Abhay Chautala and Secretary General Lalit Bhanot. Both of them were ineligible to stand this time according to the new IOA constitution. IOC member Randhir Singh, a former Secretary General of the Indian Olympic body, said the IOC made a very important decision for Indian sport. Ramchandran heads the new Indian committee, with Rajiv Mehta becoming Secretary General and Anil Khanna elected as Treasurer. Ramchandran, who served as Treasurer of the IOA from 2008 to 2012, is the younger brother of Narayanaswamy Srinivasan, who is the President of the Board of Control for Cricket in India and is said to become Chairman of the International Cricket Council.
India landed in Mumbai after wrapping up a disappointing tour to New Zealand, whereafter losing the 5-match one-day series 4-0. They were defeated 1-0 in the 2 Test match series as well.
The Indian cricket team led by Mahendra Singh Dhoni returned from New Zealand after losing both one-day international and test series in what turned out to a disastrous tour. Brendan McCullum celebrated a place in the history books after becoming the first New Zealand batsman to score a triple century in their 84 years of test cricket. The veteran achieved the remarkable feat on the final day of the second test against India in Wellington as the Black Caps secured a series-clinching draw. India lost the 5-match ODI series 4-0, followed by 2 Test series 1-0 against a lowly ranked New Zealand. The Indian cricketers now have a short break prior to leaving for Bangladesh on February 23rd to compete in the Asia Cup. The Asia Cup commences on February 25th and India will begin their campaign against the hosts on February 26th at Fatullah. Skipper MS Dhoni has been ruled out of the Asia Cup due to side strain and Virat Kohli will lead India in his absence.
Chelsea went back to the top of the Premier League on Saturday as they beat Newcastle United 3-0 at Stamford Bridge after initial league leaders Arsenal were thrashed 5-1 at Liverpool.
Liverpool spectacularly enhanced their Premier League title credentials with a remarkable 5-1 home victory over league leaders Arsenal on Saturday. Arsene Wenger's men came into the fixture having not lost a league game at Anfield since March 2007 but were ruthlessly exposed in a scarcely believable opening 20 minutes. Martin Skrtel was the unlikely scorer of Liverpool's first 2 goals, the centre-back twice converting Steven Gerrard's set pieces before Raheem Sterling and Daniel Sturridge found the net with Arsenal in total disarray. In another match, Eden Hazard scored his first hat-trick in English football as Chelsea moved to the top of the Premier League with a comfortable 3-0 win over Newcastle. 2 goals in 2 minutes from Robin van Persie and Michael Carrick looked to have secured a vital win for Manchester United, only for Fulham to fight back at the death to score an injury-time equaliser to share the spoils in a 2-2 draw. In the Spanish La Liga, 2 goals from Lionel Messi helped Barcelona regain top spot in the La Liga following a faltering victory over Sevilla. Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema and Jesse Rodriguez helped Real Madrid move to the top of the league following a 4-2 victory over Villarreal after Atletico Madrid's slip up to Almeria on Saturday. Bale returned to the starting lineup after missing the last 3 games with a leg injury and put in a virtuoso performance at the Bernabeu, scoring the first and setting up the second for Benzema. In the Italian Serie A, Gonzalo Higuain scored twice to help Napoli record a 3-1 success over AC Milan to inflict a first defeat upon new Rossoneri boss Clarence Seedorf. While in the German Bundesliga, Robert Lewandowski and Henrik Mkhitaryan scored twice as Werder Bremen were thumped 5-1 by Borussia Dortmund. The German and European champions Bayern Munich extended their unbeaten streak to 45 games with a 2-0 victory in the Bavarian derby at Nuremberg. After a bright start from the host, Mario Mandzukic put Bayern ahead in the 18th minute before Philipp Lahm sealed victory number 18 of the season on the hour mark.
Well, that's all I have for you today. I'll be back next week with some more buzz on the circuit. Till then, what you have to do? Yes, keep following www.clicksportsnow.com for more sports stories.